Well, I like real estate in emerging economies, and in particular in Asia, and in particular in India, because I can see in India urbanization will accelerate and there will be entirely new cities coming up. So I think there's a big opportunity in Indian real estate in the long run. Now, if you of course buy a condo at the peak of the market, maybe in 2007, then maybe the price will go down for 2 or 3 years and so forth. But say, as a business to develop real estate in India, both in terms of integrated commercial residential centers where you have units that are commercially let out, and then you have shopping centers, movies and hotels, and then serviced apartments and condos and so forth, that has a huge potential.
Well, he's advising investors to stay away from US government bonds in 2010 and to buy Japanese banks and stocks instead. Here's the editor of the Gloom, Doom and Boom report.
I avoid US government bonds. I think as a contrarian, you really want a contrarian play, you should buy Japanese stocks and Japanese banks. This is the absolute contrarian play. Nobody is interested in Japan. All the funds have withdrawn money from Japan. They've given up on Japan. I guarantee you the economy won't do well. Forget about the economy. The population is shrinking. But you can have an economy that essentially doesn't do well, but the companies do well. That is a big difference. And I think the Japanese banks are very depressed. All the banks in Asia have actually recovered very strongly, but not the Japanese banks. So as a contrarian play, I would look at that.
Well, Faber is bullish on gold, and despite the recent surge in gold prices, thanks to a weak dollar, he still feels that the yellow metal will run up some more. So don't sell that gold yet, is what he says.
Well, I think, the dollar has obviously been very weak, and I mean, you say the dollar has been weak. Yeah, the dollar has been weak, but the other currencies are not much better either, because either they're tied to the dollar one way or the other, or they are not tied to the US dollar. They've gone up against the US dollar, but basically the ECB in Europe is also a money printer, and the euro has many problems, as well as other currencies that were strong against the US dollar. So what can happen is that essentially the dollar is strong, but gold still holds or even goes up, because other currencies buy also gold. Say if you're a European or if you're a Swiss, maybe you decide to shift some money into gold. And especially we have now in the world 7 trillion in foreign exchange reserves, up from $1 trillion in 1996. So we've gone up in the foreign exchange reserves, in international reserves, 7 times. The price of gold hasn't gone up 7 times over that period of time. And in Asia, we have essentially central banks that hold, including Japan, 70% of these $7 trillion. And they have, by and large, less than 2% of their reserves in gold. So I think that a lot of central banks will follow the example of the Reserve Bank of India. By the way, the Reserve Bank of India deserves applause. They've done a very good job, by and large. It's a very well-run central bank.